I'm Liston Edge Jr., Lieutenant Colonel, retired, and was in the Army.
My name is Van Johnson, Sergeant Major, United States Marine Corps.
I'm Gary Phillips. I'm a Navy captain, and I was in the Navy Seabees Civil Engineer Corps.
My name is Charles Polk, and I go by Chuck, and I served in the United States Coast Guard Reserve.
Robert Lee Elliott, E7, Gunnery Sergeant, United States Marine Corps, specifically Reserve. I had an unusual career. My entire career was Reserve until Desert Storm. Not by my choice, but that's just how it happened.
My name is Kathy Harmon Carullo. I left the Marine Corps as an E5 sergeant.
Is there anything that you wish that civilians understood about military service?
I think the level of dedication of the average 18-year-old kid that enlists. I mean, the average person is quick to tell you what they won't do to work and what they won't do to do this. And an 18-year-old kid that joins the military doesn't have a lot of choices. And when you see, an 18-year-old who legally can't drink, and yet you can give him a weapon and put him on a post or deploy him somewhere, and then tell him that he's an adult and he's making adult decisions, it's a very different thought. And I don't think the average civilian understands that.
It's the brotherhood overall, whether it's Marine Corps, Army, Navy, Air Force, whatever. People don't understand, and I believe it's ever since the time started, man has always been looking to deal with somebody else, and we always have to defend, foreign and domestic. And that's the thing that we have to do. And there's wars, and there's gonna be a war, always. And it's things we have to be taught. Everybody's not gonna do it. Someone would rather me do it than they do it.
The freedoms that we take for granted, perhaps we don't realize who paid for those. Those were paid for by the folks in the military, the folks that stood before a flag, they raised their hand, and they swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that Constitution applies to everybody in America, the whole thing, not just your favorite parts.
People who join the service, especially those who stay for a while, for longer than one enlistment, they're people who really love our country. And the service in Afghanistan and Iraq in more recent years, because it's all voluntary, it's a different thing than the days of the draft. They don't have to be there, but they volunteered to be there.
They don't understand the camaraderie. I mean, it's like you go anywhere and you see a guy, you see that Marine Corps emblem, and you go up and you strike up a conversation, and they go, "Did you know him?" I'm like, well, yes and no. I didn't really know him, but I knew him. And that's the kind of thing, that brotherhood that cements people together. And you find out a lot of times something would happen, and all you had to do was find out and say, "Hey, Marine's in trouble," man, people would come out of the woodworks to help. So, and I don't think they quite grasp that. It seems to be a foreign concept because everybody seems to think of I, me, my. And once you do this, you realize it's more than just about you yourself. It's about the greater good as a whole.
There are lessons that you learn in the military that you don't learn in civilian life. Some of these lessons you don't need in civilian life, and other ones of these lessons, if everybody in the civilian world had learned these things, our world would be a whole lot better place. In the military, it doesn't matter what social status you come from. It doesn't matter what your family life was. It doesn't matter where you lived. You're all on the same level, doing the same job. It doesn't matter if your family has money. You're just like everybody else. And if everybody in the civilian world could get to that point, it'd be a lot better place.